Didn't play that the best. Probably could have prepped a lot more better, but we'll bounce back next week. Next week is the admin week. We're up against the undefeated Miami Heat Trans. So I will see you guys next week. Peace out.
It's freaking bats.
That's kind of gay, but
Shut up! 600. Wait, what's going on? Whoa, whoa!
Haley.
Alright everyone, it has been quite some time since you've seen me here. I started a new job, so I unfortunately had to stop recording content for last season of the ETA. I fell off in week 5. You guys didn't miss a whole lot. We made the playoffs and then we lost in the first round. So an unfortunate end to the season, but it was still a really fun season nonetheless. I am very excited to be playing Draft again though. This is an exciting time. We are going to be playing in the 10th season of the PWC. The Pokemon World Circuit is ran by some acquaintances that I've known in Draft for a few years now, so I'm excited to be over there playing with these guys. I will be playing in the Blackthorn division, which is considered the second tier division of coaches. As far as the draft plans go, for the PWC, they have some specific draft rules. So the first rule is you may only have 3 Pokemon over 14 points or more. This is just to limit you from having an excessive amount of really good Pokemon and stealing them from the rest of people who may be trying to use some mid-tier stuff or lower end stuff. Keep it fair and balanced for everyone. Another way that the PWC tries to make things very fair is the first round of the draft is actually a signature Pokemon. This signature Pokemon you have to bring to every single game. However, the advantage to it is your Terra Captain with free terrestrialization. So you can Terra it into any type. We are once again the Toronto Torterras. However, I don't believe Torterra will be on our draft plan. It forever will be my favorite Pokemon and my mascot, so that will be the name of the team. Going to the draft, I didn't exactly have a plan. This was kind of a last second thing that Tranel actually asked me to be a part of. And, you know, that's my dog, so had to do it for him. Glad to be here, but I don't really have a plan. Kind of just going into the season, trying to draft some, you know, Pokemon maybe I've never used before, or stuff I've always wanted to try, things like that, and just try and have some fun this season. With the signature Mon situation, that is something I wanted to put a considerable amount of thought into. This is a Pokemon you have to bring to every single game. It has to be able to do many things. That's one of the tough parts about lower tiered Pokemon usually, is they're pretty one-dimensional. They can only do one thing. So looking for my signature Mon, I wanted to find something that I would feel comfortable bringing every single week and feeling like I can make it fit into any sort of situation. So with the 11th pick in the first round, I ended up taking Hisuian Decidueye. I've wanted to use Decidueye for a long time now. I think it has a fantastic move pool, and I think that's only further improved by terrestrialization. It has plenty of potential to be an offensive threat with a really solid physical attack stat, as well as a decent special attack stat. It gets access to things like Swords Dance and Calm Mind, so there's lots of potential to threaten things out with moves. It can also use support moves such as Defog and Roost. So being able to Terra it and kind of turn it into whatever Pokemon we need it to be that week, I think is absolutely fantastic. With the 22nd pick of the second round, this is when teams now had access to draft things over 8 points. So we pretty much had the 5th pick of the first round, if you want to look at it that way. There was tons of options on the board, but I just went ahead and grabbed Iron Bundle. I personally love Iron Bundle. It's probably my favorite Scarlet and Violet Pokemon. I thought it was really cool that they apologized to Delibird by giving it a really new sleek, unique new form. You don't really see many good ice types. There is some love for ice types out there, but I think Iron Bundle definitely solidifies itself as one of the top ice type users. You can just freely click Hydro Pump and Freeze Dry and Ice Beam. Its move pool is slightly limited, but with the access to Freeze Dry, there's not a whole lot of things that really want to switch into Bundle, especially if it's boosted by booster energy for its special attack, or even its speed to outspeed most Scarfers. I'm very excited to just put this thing to work and put some holes into some teams. Going into the third round, I now had a grass type and a water type, so I figured I might as well and tie up the fire, water, grass core that I shoot for on all my teams. I took the best fire type that I saw available on the board. I saw that Chi-Yu was still sitting there, and I knew it wouldn't sit there for much longer, so I went ahead and snagged that. This is another fast, great special attacking Pokemon that we can threaten tons of things out and put lots of holes into teams. Its move pool is also slightly limited. You have Dark Pulse, and of course all the special fire moves, but the only real coverage move you really have is Psychic for fighting types. However, I'm not really concerned about how limiting it is, just because of how powerful this thing is. I'm sure everyone has seen that famous gif of Chi-Yu just obliterating a Torkoal in the sun with an overheat, so you know that this thing is an absolute threat, and you know teams are going to have to prep for it every week. For the 54th pick in the draft, in the 4th round, I wanted something that could support Iron Bundle and Chi-Yu. I wanted something that would give them a little edge to be able to continue their dominant performances in games of just clicking buttons and picking up kills and chip damage, stuff like that. So I went ahead and grabbed the best support Pokemon, in my opinion. This is one that everyone's familiar with on the Toronto Torterras. It's Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is the be-all of support Pokemon. It has the Prankster ability to let it set up non-damaging moves first. So of course that means priority screens, priority parting shot, priority thunder wave. Whatever you really need Grimmsnarl to do for your team, it can do just about anything in the support role. It's also got a really good attack stat, so this thing can easily be an offensive threat as well. In the 5th round of the draft, I started to notice that the team was pretty weak to fighting types. We had Bundle and Chi-Yu, who are both weak. Now we have Grimmsnarl and Decidueye, which are neutral to fighting types. So I wanted something to prevent a Urshifu Rapid Strikes or a Conkeldurr from absolutely going crazy on our team. So I went ahead and drafted a Mike Haley Classic. This is like a 2020 Mike Haley OG Nat Dex Pokemon I used back in the early days of when I started playing, and that's Deoxys Defense. This thing is an absolute wall. It can serve whatever defensive role we need it to be that week, whether it's physically defensive, specially defensive. It gets tons of support moves similar to Grimmsnarl with screens, but it also has access to Stealth Rock and Spikes, which is really nice. Its move pool is pretty good. While its attack stats and special attack stats aren't the best, I definitely think there's still a chance for us to do some stuff. We have access to some move boosting moves like Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, things like that. Not to say we're always going to be running an offensive variant of this. It very well has defense in the name. It's going to be a defensive Pokemon. But I just don't want people to sleep on Deoxys Defense. This thing can put in work, so I'm really excited to be using it again. To further support Chi-Yu and Iron Bundle, I noticed one of the big things about them is they're both weak to Stealth Rocks, and the only defogger we currently have is Decidueye. And like I said, Decidueye can be that defensive Pokemon that can be a defogger and roost up, stuff like that. I don't always want it to be locked into that. I want that versatility of it being able to change. I went ahead and I got one of my favorite rapid spinners I've never personally been able to use yet, and that's Fortress. Fortress is an absolute great physical wall. It has an amazing base defense, so we can switch in very easily to most physical threats and threaten them out. We can remove the hazards that teams may set up on us. We can set up hazards of our own. Fortress has an impressive lineup of hazards with Toxic Spikes, Spikes, Stealth Rocks. This thing can just do about anything, so I'm really excited to have it on the team as our final sort of defensive wall. In the 7th round, I noticed we could finish up the Fairy Dragon Steel core in addition to the Fire Water Grass core. Those are the 2 cores I typically like to have. So I went ahead and I got Noivern. This gives us extra speed on the team because our speed tiers, while we have Bundle, the rest of the team was a bit lacking in speed, so I wanted something that could come in, get some revenge kills. I also think Noivern has a lot of potential to be a supportive type role as well. Gets access to things like defog, so there's another defogger for the team, as well as Tailwind to help support some of those Pokemon on the team that are kind of fast but not too fast. Obviously, we have Dracos we can drop, we have Flamethrower for the ice types, and then we just have fast momentum with U-turn as well. So I definitely think Noivern is something that can put in a lot of work. This is a National Dex draft, so we do have access to Mega Pokemon in this draft. It's been quite some time since I've used a Mega Pokemon, so I wanted to go out and grab one I've never really tried before. So with the 118th pick in the 8th round, we went ahead and we grabbed Mega Bayonet. Mega Bayonet has a fantastic base attack stat of 165. It recently got access to Poltergeist too, so we can be clicking some crazy strong Poltergeist against teams. It has Prankster as an ability similar to Grimmsnarl, but it's a little bit different. It's not like the screeny type of Prankster, but we have lots of status moves like Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp and Toxic. And then we have cheeky little things like Destiny Bond 2. We have access to Prankster Swords Dance too, so we can try and EV out to lift some hits, Swords Dance up, get that 165 stat really rare and to go. And I just click Poltergeist and Shadow Sneak on things all day. In addition to the 2 main cores, some other things I really like to look for in teams is a ground type to prevent electric types from switching around a lot, and a grounded poison type to prevent teams from toxic spiking you. If you don't have a grounded poison type, it's something that pretty easily comes up onto prep. It's something that teams can easily take advantage of. They can set up toxic spikes early, and then of course, if you're not running heavy duty boots on everything, or you don't have the best hazard control that week, it can be a huge detriment to you in the early game, which obviously can lead to a quick loss. So to prevent that, I went ahead and grabbed the original king, Nidoking. This is something I wanted to use for a really long time. I like that Nidoking has a great move pool of both physical and special moves. It has the ability Sheer Force as well. Any move that has a secondary effect gets multiplied by 1 × 3 power. And then Sheer Force also negates the damage from Life Orb. Life Orb is an item that multiplies your attacks by 1.3 damage as well. So this thing is just an overall beast with Life Orb. And like I said, you can run physical sets, special threats, so it's just a headache for a lot of teams because they're not sure what kind of Nidoking you could be bringing. And they also have to look out for the occasional supportive Nidoking. Nidoking gets some good support moves, it gets hazards as well. So I definitely think there's lots of potential for Nidoking to do some different cool things on this team. With the 150th pick in the 10th round, I wanted to improve our speed tiers just a little bit more. I wanted to look for something that had over base 100 speed. We only had 10 points left, so I decided to split up the final 2 points with a 6-pointer and a 4-pointer. So we're essentially like in the clearance aisle at Walmart right now, looking through the cheap shit. And in the $6 bin, we were able to find Tauros. You gotta put some respect on Tauros' name. Tauros is one of the OGs of Gen 1 meta. Like, this thing used to be an absolute monster. It has really good base speed with 110. Its attack is okay, but it has Sheer Force similar to Nidoking, so we can run Life Orb Sheer Force sets with it, as well as Intimidate, which is another really useful ability. I also like that Tauros has the signature move Raging Bull. It's essentially just Brick Break, but for the Tauros family. So I don't know, but that's cool. We can do some stuff with it. It gets Trailblaze, it gets, you know, powerful body slam, stuff like that. There's only a few things that really stop normal types, so it's actually surprisingly free to click normal moves most of the time. Our final pick of the draft. Round 11, pick 171. With 4 points left, I had to take a look at the team and see if there was anything missing that I truly needed or wanted. The last thing I look for a team is usually an electric type. I think electric types offer a lot to your team. They offer good momentum because they typically have Volt Switch. They typically help you kind of build your team easily because the only thing that truly stops them is ground types. So if there's no ground type on the opposing team, it's super easy to just take advantage of that and just bring an electric type and have it put in as much work as possible. However, when you only have 4 points left, there's not the greatest electric types left. However, we were able to secure the golden boy himself, Pikachu. For those of you who may not be familiar with competitive Pokemon, might be saying, "Oh, Mike, like, what's the problem with that? Like, you sound like you're not happy about having Pikachu. Like, it's the mascot. It is Pokemon. It sucks." I'm gonna be real with all of you. Pikachu is not that great. If you take a look at its stats, they're pretty abysmal. Its attacks are wet noodles. Its speed is 90, which is okay, but it's not great. And then it only has 35 health, so just about anything could kill this thing. I think something could sneeze on this and it would die. However, since it's the golden child, it was given the special treatment of getting its own unique item called Light Ball. Now, Light Ball will actually double both of Pikachu's offensive stats. Now you go from only having 209 base physical attack to having 418 base attack, which is pretty good, honestly. It's just the problem of Pikachu is so frail that it's probably just going to die before it really does much. But I'm glad to have him on the team. It has 2 abilities that could prove some use. Static, we could potentially use it as death fodder to try and get a paralysis on something, as well as Lightning Rod. So we can pair that pretty well with any electric types we're fighting for Iron Bundle or something like that. You know, it can come in and take an electric move for it, maybe, and I don't know, try and do something. Realistically, screw the trophy. Screw making playoffs. If we can get a kill with Pikachu this season, that's all I need, man. I'm happy with that. So we'll see. I'm excited to use this team. I just wanted to draft some things that I think would be fun, some things I've never tried before. So this is it. Season 10 of PWC. Mike Haley and the Toronto Torterras are coming in hot. I will see you all in Germany. Playing the big game, and you know what, man? As they say in Germany.
Sammeln Sie die Truppen und töten Sie unsere Feinde.
All right, I'll see you guys week 1.